welcome back to another episode of Buzzman Videos. Buzzman is a great podcast initiative which aims to bring together inspirational stories from across the country under one united platform. We have today Mr. Surya Prakash Mahapatra, who is currently the Global Head and Talent Transformation at Wipro. He has over 23 years of experience in various leadership roles and in several leading IT and ITES organizations. Prior to Wipro, he's worked in HP, Microland, and a few other organizations. He has extensive experience in setting up and running learning development functions in India and abroad. He is a leadership development trainer and has delivered training sessions to senior leaders in various topics such as change management, leadership at VUCA World, and also learning agility, impactful speaking, etc. He was invited to speak at the prestigious events and conferences, to name a few like IOCL, IIM, CII, World HRD Congress, World Education Congress, and Satsang conferences. He has authored many articles, and in his articles were published worldwide. He's also on the editorial board of ECASA Quarterly e-magazine for HR and LD practitioners. He's participated in various satsang events, and he's discoursed many speeches in spiritual topics. He was awarded as 25 most talented training and development leaders in the world by World HRD Congress. He was also conferred as Knowledge Management Leadership Award by the Global Knowledge Management Congress. He's also conferred by Popular HR Journey, Human Factor in 2016, and Best HR Heads in India. So welcome, sir. It's an absolute pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
So please appraise us about your journey and how you discovered HR in yourself.
Well, my career journey began, as you mentioned, about 20 plus years ago, when I started in an organization in a small city in India, in the eastern part of India called Bhubaneswar. I joined a company called CGIHT. I joined their Bhubaneswar center as a center head. That's where the professional journey began. Though I had some, professional experience or stint before that, but I think a formal, meaningful journey began over there as a center head for that location. After performing that role for about a couple of years, I moved to the corporate office or the national center of CGIST in Bangalore. And that's where my journey from a small town to a big city started. And that was definitely a watershed moment in my career when I shifted from a small town, from a small role to a bigger, larger metropolitan city, much larger role.
Right.
The journey with that organization continued for some time. Then I moved to Microland for some time. Then I worked for an organization called First Ring. Then I joined Hewlett Packard, again, a world-class organization, and which gave me the exposure to best-in-class practices, methods, etc. So I think that's, again, was another watershed moment. Before that, my role primarily in the previous organizations was all about franchisee or channel partner management, or it was operations management or business development, etc. But that's where the formal foray into learning and development started. And I've never looked back thereafter. Today, in my current role in Wipro, I'm in a global role, leading the talent transformation and L&D function for the Wipro Digital Operations and Platforms Group, and supporting the learning and development needs of employees across the globe. And it's a role which is strategic, also tactical. My responsibility is to bring in best-in-class practices, methods to the organization and build a best-in-class learning and development and talent transformation function. So I think has been an interesting journey. I started in a small town, in a small role, in a small organization. Today, thankfully, with God's grace, I'm in a global organization performing a global role, and then trying my best to create impact for my organization and for my colleagues.
All right, that's wonderful, sir. So now, as you mentioned, you've been in the industry for over 23 years. So you've obviously spoken at over hundreds of programs. So how do you manage your schedule? How do you manage any last minute changes that come about?
Yeah, I think in today's world, managing your schedule requires discipline. And we live in a VUCA world today. Things are changing, things are dynamic, they're unpredictable. Things can change in the last minute. So I think it requires a great amount of preparedness, agility. And so I think over the years, I have developed adaptability, flexibility, and agility. And the guts and the courage deal with something which is unpredictable and deal with the dynamics of life. I think it's as simple as that. It might sound theoretical, but I think it's your preparedness and your learning from past experiences and an ability to apply that learning in new situations.
So would you say there is a difference between learning and development, or how would you put that across?
That's an interesting question. So learning is a process and development is outcome.
Right.
So if people learn, they would develop themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's how I look at it. And today in organizations, there are learning and development functions, which essentially means that these functions or leaders in these functions are responsible for facilitating learning as a process and creating development as an outcome. This is a major shift from the past where this function used to be called training and development. But the world had changed. The world in the past centered around the trainer. But today the world has shifted to the learner. The learner is at the center stage. The learner drives his or her own learning. It's the L&D practitioner whose responsibility is to facilitate that learning, create that ecosystem and where learners can learn on their own or learn from their peers and then their colleagues. They need to provide the right conditions where learning can happen seamlessly. I think that's a major shift that has happened in this function and in the industry over the last few years.
All right. Now, would you say, do you think money has become a major reason for, attribution or employee engagement? And also, does job enrichment play a major role in retaining an employee?
Well, money is never an outcome. Money is not a goal. Money is a tool to achieve things that you want to achieve in life, whether it is success, career progress, whether it is philanthropic ambitions or whatever it is. So money cannot be the primary reason for people to go after. So that's why I don't believe that money is the primary reason why people leave organizations. But sometimes who wrongly look at money as their primary goal often do that. Maybe people in the early stages of their career where they believe that is important to earn money, become richer, and then enjoy a very comfortable life. They go after money and then they change jobs, etc. But they realize very soon that money cannot give you everything that you need. And you also cannot go after money all the time unless you build your competencies, skills, and capability. Why would an organization pay you money? They would pay you money for the value they create. So I definitely agree and believe that job enrichment is important. So job enrichment is about the nature of work that you do, which bring out the best in you. It's about the opportunities that you have for learning and building capabilities. There have been loads of research in this area, and some research findings tell us that across the globe, more than 50% of the workforce, more than 50% of employees leave organizations because they do not get opportunities to learn new things and build new capabilities. They don't see career progression there.
All right. So now, would you say, that qualifications are the only requirements to get a job? Or would you say a right attitude is also required for job enrichment and a successful career?
Well, in today's world, more than qualification, what matters is skills. Skills are more important than qualification.
Right.
And there are at least 15 or 20 world-class global organizations have already announced that they are not going to look at qualification in their selection process. Google is one example. They have announced that they're not going to look at qualification anymore because they have not seen any linkage between qualification and performance in the real world. So is qualification extremely important? It is important. It sometimes gets you an entry. It sometimes puts you on the door, but walking inside the door and then making progress is up to you. So while qualification is important to some extent, but skills are more important, or holistic capability is more important. And when I talk about holistic capability, that of course includes knowledge, skills, and attitude.
All right. Okay.
So it's all the three.
All right. So now, as we see over the last few years, there's a lot of importance that's been given to stress management and work-life balance, also employees' health. So would you say there's a paradigm shift in the approach of work due to that?
Of course, there is a paradigm shift. If you compare the manufacturing age or the agriculture age, and then we move to the manufacturing age, then we move to information age.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the major shift happened. So in the information age, the shift happened from the manufacturing era to the era of the knowledge workers. So the shift happened to workers or people who bring in talent, who bring in experience. So in the early part of the information age, organizations still persisted with the practices of the manufacturing era. The information age is the age of innovation, imagination, age of creativity. And that's how the shift happened from materials, assets, buildings to people. Right. Because people were the most important assets of the organization. That's where the shift happened. But when the shift happened, organizations realized people are very different from other material assets. Right. People have their emotions, they have their feelings, they have their creativity, they have their aspirations, they bring in energy, they bring in inspiration, so they're very different. And then organizations started looking at the whole human being. Mm-hmm. And they looked at human beings as individuals, as members of families, as social beings, as spiritual beings. They looked at their body, mind, heart, spirit, and everything. That's why the paradigm shift happened. That's why today we talk about concepts like work-life balance, etc. Because it's not just about work. It's also about a life, and the life also has many aspects. You need to take care of your health, you need to take care of your mind, you need to take care of your spiritual needs. So it's looking at a human being as a whole. That's the shift that has happened today.
All right. Now, would you say artificial intelligence is going to make an impact as well in L&D functions?
Well, so artificial intelligence is a powerful technology.
Mm-hmm.
So any technology is an enabler.
Okay.
Technology does not create momentum; it accelerates momentum. Momentum is created by human beings.
Okay.
So artificial intelligence is only going to supplement, complement, and augment human intelligence. It's going to enable human beings to achieve far superior excellence. In the L&D space, it's definitely going to help L&D practitioners to bring about innovation in the learning and development space. It is going to redesign, it's going to rewrite, redefine the way people used to learn. Artificial intelligence, the key components of which possibly today are machine learning, and then different other powerful tools like AI-enabled translators, and then the virtual experts, etc., are very powerful, which can augment learning. So if I have to give you an example, in the past, a learner used to learn in the classroom, and then when after the classroom session, when he or she was going back to the workplace, if he or she was stuck somewhere, he then had to go back to the trainer or the subject matter expert.
Mm-hmm.
And the subject matter expert is not always available. But today we have powerful technologies enabled by artificial intelligence. And one example is chatbot, and might get a response which is appropriate and which might solve his or her problem in real time. So this is an example how artificial intelligence today is augmenting learning and development. And whole lot of developments in analytics, big data, etc., now is enabling learning and development practitioners to get extremely powerful insights about learner preferences, learner expectations, learning styles, and it is giving them powerful insights to build learning programs, content, and interventions in a way which is more effective and impactful, and in a way which are tailor-made to the needs of the learners. That's a major shift that's happening in the learning and development space.
All right. Okay. Now we have to ask you, sir, if you could tell us a little bit about your family, and also, how do you manage to devote time with such a busy schedule? And I'm sure you have to run around all the time. So tell us a little bit how you manage to balance some time for your family and also public speaking and spiritual engagements that you have.
Okay. Well, I have a great family and I love my family. I have my wife and my son. We are 3 members in the family. And how do I manage to devote time to my family and to my job, my profession, which is very demanding, and also other passions in my life, public speaking, spirituality, etc. I also write blogs, articles, and so on. Well, I think life is all about, or leadership is all about finding that balance in life. It's all about finding that balance. If you don't find that balance, then life becomes a lopsided growth. If I only succeed and excel in my profession, and my family is not happy with me, my environment, my neighborhood, my country, my responsibility as a citizen, if I don't discharge them, if I don't pursue my passions, and then it's like one-sided growth. So talking about it, I think if I go to a gym and then exercise only my left hand, after 3 months, I will see that muscles in my left hand have become stronger, but my right hand is as weak as before. And that's an imbalanced growth. It's not a balanced growth. Nobody wants a tumor is also a growth in the body, but nobody wants a tumor. We want growth, but we want balanced all-round growth,
Right.
a growth which is all-encompassing, a growth where you find happiness in yourself,
Right.
in your family, in your social life, in your professional life, and in all aspects of your life. So to find that balance in your life, you need to find that balancing factor.
Right.
And you need that balancing factor in life which will help you balance. And in my opinion, that balancing factor is spirituality. So if one is connected with spirituality, spirit is all about consciousness. The more you are in control, the more you are in control, the more capable you are to lead a life which is happy, progressive, successful, satisfying. Because you need to be in control. For you to be in control, you need to find that balance. And to find that balance, you need to be connected with the balancing factor. To me, that is spirituality.
All right. Now, also, I just want to ask you a little bit more in detail. You have spoken at many satsang gatherings about your spiritual journey. Would you like to dive a little bit deeper into that, apart from what you've just mentioned?
Okay. So my spiritual guide is Sri Thakurun Kulchandra. So I follow him. And my spiritual awakening experience has come through my alignment with him, and then through the learnings that I have gathered from my guru or spiritual guide. I do participate in spiritual congregations and satsangs, and my learning, understanding about spirituality is about the soul connecting with the Supreme Soul. Your consciousness getting connected with the all-pervasive, all-encompassing Supreme Consciousness. I think that brings you power, energy, and strength. And my mission, while being part of this spiritual congregations and spiritual journey, and then going to the spiritual congregations and satsangs, is to spread that message, help people get that spark, understand the true meaning of their life. Sometimes I feel that there are young men and women who are extremely talented, extremely knowledgeable, often lose direction in their life because they fail to establish that connection, and they go after wrong things in life, go after things which are not significant or meaningful. Sometimes they waste their life, they completely destroy their life. So I think the biggest mission in life, as my spiritual guide says, is transformation of the human being. And if you can help human beings transform themselves, that would be the biggest contribution to humankind. And that's my part of that's my journey. That's my objective.
All right. That's
to
wonderful.
help people.
That's wonderful to hear, sir. Now, for our final question, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you with us. So would you have any advice to any candidates who are looking for jobs, or just in general, how to tackle the future ahead of them?
Well, I will not have any advice. I think young people today are very knowledgeable, all the access to knowledge in today's times. My 2 cents should be prepare yourself for a future which is uncertain, which is volatile, which is fluid, and your future can be a little complex and ambiguous sometimes, and prepare yourself to navigate through that. So the skills which are important and the skills that you need to build to become ready for a corporate world or your own profession, or your employment or self-employment. The skills which are relevant would be again, um, uh, you know, uh, grouped into 3 categories. One would be your mindset, ability to deal with ambiguity, uh, becoming fearless, ability to take risks, experiment, try new things, flexibility, adaptability, etc., are important mindset traits. Then comes to skills, and I talked about 3 categories. So skills, I would kind of divide them into 2 parts. One is domain skills, which is your subject matter, your technical knowledge. If you are in the human resources profession, your expertise in the human resources area. If you are a programmer or a developer, your expertise in programming languages. If you are a finance professional, your expertise in finance area. I think your core domain and the technology domain and the industry domain. So domain as a whole is the second category. And the third category would be other skills, which are professional and behavioral. And those skills would be problem solving skills, negotiation skills, influencing skills, communication skills. So that's how I would group them into 3 categories: your attitude, mindset, then your domain capability, then your behavioral skills and leadership skills. You need to spend good amount of time. Don't worry about the future. Don't worry about which industry and where you'll find a job, etc. Focus on the skills. I talked about some relevant, important skills, and let me just pick up one example: problem-solving skills. No matter which industry you are in, which job that you are performing, that's a very vital skill. And today, your domain may become obsolete. New technology may come. Your knowledge on technology might become obsolete. But if you're a problem solver, you'll be required all the time. If your manager, if your organization knows that you have the appetite to solve problems, they would not like to lose you. So if you pick up these skills and then develop your holistic development, work on your holistic development, you are in a situation going to future-proof yourself and your career. So these are my 2 cents to youngsters today.
All right. All right. So once again, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you with us. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure talking to you, and then you really asked thought-provoking questions.
I'm sure anyone watching this would get a lot of insight and a lot of tips that they can use for their journey continuing forward. So once again, thank you to all our viewers and thank you to yourself, sir. And stay tuned, everybody, for more inspirational stories coming to you from Buzzman Videos. Thank you.